The air in the Galactic Assembly Hall tasted stale. It smelled like hot metal and something sour, like old fruit left in the sun. High above, curved ceilings glowed with soft blue light. Below, 12 different alien species sat around a huge round table. They were the Veln Collective, the rulers of this part of the space. Their clothes were bright and strange. Some wore robes that shimmered. Others had hard shells like beetles. All of them looked important. All of them looked bored. At the center of the table floated a glowing star map. Tiny dots showed planets and stars. One dot blinked red. It was called Earth. Ambassador Vraktar stood up. He was tall and thin, with green, scaly skin and eyes like black beads. His voice was sharp, like stone scraping stone. "We waste time again," he said. Quote, "talking about ghosts." He pointed a long finger at the red dot. "Earth, home of the humans." A murmur ran through the room. Some aliens clicked their teeth. Others tapped the table with clawed hands. Humans were an old story, a scary story parents told young ones. "Don't be bad, or the humans will get you," Vraktar smirked. 10,000 years ago, they were nothing, just animals on one small planet. They fought each other with sticks and fire. Then, they found space. He made a small, explosive gesture with his hands. Boom! They flew out like angry wasps. They attacked the Qatari hegemony, our ancestors. He paced slowly, his tail swishing behind him. The humans were strong, yes, very strong, but stupid. They destroyed their own world with their wars, poisoned their air, burned their seas. Then, they vanished. Gone. Like smoke. He stopped and looked around the room, his black eyes gleaming. They were animals. No unity. No wisdom. They killed themselves. Good riddance. Laughter bubbled up. A furry alien with 6 arms chuckled. A floating jellyfish being pulsed with red light. "Good riddance," someone called out. Near the back wall, sitting quietly in a plain gray chair, Jaya listened. She looked like a young Veln, short, with smooth purple skin and large dark eyes. But she wasn't Veln. She was human. She wore a disguise, a special suit that changed her skin color and softened her human features. Underneath, her heart beat fast. Her real skin was pale. Her eyes were brown, not black. Her name was Jia, and she was from Earth. Earth was not gone. Jia kept her face calm. She was just a data archivist, she told them. A quiet worker who sorted old star maps. Perfect for listening. Perfect for learning. She had spent 2 years here, copying secrets, memorizing ship routes, watching the Veln. They were arrogant. They thought they knew everything. They thought humans were a myth. Let them think that, Jia thought. Let them sleep easy. Vraktar wasn't finished. "Some of you still search for human relics," he said, shaking his head. "Silly treasure hunters, scraping asteroids for broken toys. What could those animals have built that matters now?" He picked up a small, dusty object from the table. It looked like a bent piece of metal. "See this? Found near Orion. A human artifact." He tossed it down. It clanged loudly. "Junk! Primitive junk! Proof they were weak. Proof they deserved to die." More laughter. More nods. Jia's fingers tightened on her chair. She remembered stories from home. Stories of Earth long ago. Humans had fought. They had hurt their world. But they hadn't died. They had learned. They had left. They traveled far, far away, using ships that moved faster than light. They hid. They healed. They waited. For 10,000 years, they watched the galaxy from the dark. They saw the Veln rise. They saw the Veln lie. The Veln called humans animals. But the Veln were the ones who stole planets. The Veln were the ones who crushed smaller species. The humans remembered. They remembered the Qatari hegemony, the Veln's ancestors, burning Mars. They remembered the screams across the solar system. They erased us, Jia thought, anger cold in her chest. They made us into a ghost story so they wouldn't feel guilty. Vraktar slammed his hand on the table. "Enough! We have real problems. Pirate ships near Zeta 9. Food shortages on Tharn Prime. Not fairy tales." He glared around the room. "The humans are dead. Long dead. Let them stay dead. They were a mistake the galaxy corrected." The meeting ended quickly. Aliens stood, chattering about trade routes and taxes. Jia stayed seated, pretending to Zhengli her datapad. Her hands were steady, but inside she was fire. When the hall was almost empty, she moved. She walked to a shadowed corner near a humming air vent. She looked left, then right. No one watched. Good. Slowly, she pulled a small device from her pocket. It was smooth, black, and warm, like a dark pebble. She pressed it once. A tiny light blinked green. She held it close to her mouth and whispered, her voice low and clear. In plain human English, Phase 1 confirmed. They remember nothing. Repeat, they remember nothing. She pressed it again. The light turned blue. Then she dropped the device into the air vent. It fell silently into the dark, whirring depths of the building. Gone. Jia walked back to her desk. She sat down. She opened a file on her datapad, boring star charts of empty space. Her face showed nothing, just a tired worker doing her job. But inside she was smiling. They think we are gone, she thought. They think we are dust. She remembered the message she'd sent weeks ago. Coordinates, timing, a single word, ready. Now far away in the cold black between stars, human ships were moving. Big ships, strong ships. Ships built not for beauty, but for war. Ships with armor like mountains and guns that could shatter planets. In the Velm called humans a myth. Soon they would learn the truth. Jia typed slowly on her pad, numbers and letters. Fake data. She looked up. Through the huge window she saw the stars. Cold, distant, waiting. One star blinked. Not a star. A ship's light. Small. Fast. Moving closer. Soon, Jia thought. She closed her eyes for just a second. She saw Earth. Not the burned world of Velm lies, but Earth as it was now. Green, alive, strong, full of people with names like Ji-Hoon and Tai-Sik and Dong-Hyun. People who remembered. People who would not be forgotten again. She opened her eyes. The alien hall felt smaller now, flimsy, like a child's toy. Vraktar's words echoed in her head. They were animals, long dead. Let them stay dead. Jia almost laughed. You poor, foolish things, she thought. You have no idea what's coming. She typed one last line on her pad. All systems green. Proceed to Theta. Then she stood up. She walked out of the hall, her steps quiet on the metal floor. She didn't look back. Behind her, the star map still glowed. The red dot, Earth, blinked once, then faded to black, as if it had never been there at all. Space near the Theta outpost was cold and quiet, empty, or so Commander Kallis thought. He sat in his command chair on the bridge of the Swift Claw, a Velm patrol ship shaped like a fat, spiky beetle. His thick gray skin itched under his uniform. His 4 eyes blinked slowly. Boredom hung heavy in the air. Kallis was Tharn, a species known for strength, not patience. He scratched his rough chin with a clawed hand. Scan again, he rumbled, his voice like rocks grinding together. This asteroid belt is empty. Has just rocks and dust. His crew moved slowly. A young officer with blue skin tapped a glowing screen. Sensors show nothing, Commander. Only old debris. Maybe from the Qatari wars. Kallis snorted. Qatari junk. Worthless. He stood up, his heavy body swaying as the ship drifted. We waste time here. The assembly sends us to find human relics? Ghost stories for children. He kicked a metal panel lightly. It dented. Humans are dust. Always were. Then the officer gasped. Wait! Energy spike! Small! Behind asteroid 7. Kallis froze. His black eyes narrowed. Scan it. Now! The officer's hands flew over the controls. It's weak, like a dying battery, but old. Very old. He pulled up an image on the main screen. It showed a broken piece of metal floating in space. Twisted, rusted, with strange symbols. Kallis leaned closer. And his heart thumped. Human symbols. Launch probes, he ordered, trying to hide his excitement. Bring it here, carefully. 2 small drones shot from the Swift Claw. They moved like silver fish through the dark. They reached the metal scrap. Gently, they grabbed it. Kallis watched the screen, his breath shallow. A real human relic. Proof we were right. They were weak, primitive. He imagined the praise he'd get, maybe a promotion, maybe a new ship. The drones turned, pulling the scrap toward the Swiftclaw. Then everything changed. The stars seemed to blink. A cold shiver ran down Kalis's spine. He wasn't sure why, but the quiet felt wrong. Too quiet. "Full sensors," he barked. "Check all bands." The officer's fingers flew. "Nothing, Commander. Just static." "Wait." His voice died. On the main screen, three shapes appeared, and not on long-range sensors. Right there, floating silently between the asteroids. Kalis stared. His mouth went dry. The ships were black, not shiny black like Velen ships, but deep black, like a hole in space. They had no lights, no glowing engines, no smooth curves. They looked like jagged mountains welded together, hard, ugly, and strong. On their sides, painted in bright red, was a symbol, a fist clenched tight. No Velen ship looked like that. No ship anyone knew looked like that. "Identify!" Kalis roared. "Who are they?" The officer's voice shook. "Unknown, Commander. No signal. No transponder. Just metal. Thick metal." Kalis felt a flicker of fear, but he crushed it. Pirates, raiders. He straightened his shoulders. "Open comms, loud and clear." A voice crackled over the speakers. It was calm, cold, speaking perfect Velen language, but with a strange, hard sound. "This is the UNS Reckoning. You are in sovereign human space. Turn around. Leave now." Silence. Kalis blinked. His crew stared at each other. Human space? Then Kalis laughed. A deep, rumbling sound. "Human space! Humans!" He slapped his knee. "You joke, stranger. Humans are gone. Dust. Myths." He leaned into the mic, his voice dripping with scorn. "You steal old stories. You steal old junk. But you are not humans. You are nobody." He turned to his weapons officer. "Send a warning shot. Near their nose. Make them jump." The officer nodded. Firing plasma pulse. A bright bolt of blue energy shot from the Swiftclaw. It flew straight toward the lead black ship. The Reckoning. Kalis smiled. "Let them run." The bolt hit the Reckoning's front. There was no explosion, no flash. The bolt just bounced off, way like a pebble hitting stone. It vanished into space. Kalis's smile froze. On the Reckoning's bridge, Captain Ji-hoon watched the screen. His face was calm. His hands rested lightly on the arms of his command chair. He was tall, with short black hair and steady eyes. Beside him, Dong-hyun monitored the sensors. His fingers moved fast over the controls. "Plasma impact," Dong-hyun said. "No damage. Armor held." Ji-hoon didn't react. "They don't believe," he said quietly. "They think we're ghosts." He stood up. He was calm, but his voice carried steel. "All ships, stand ready, but hold fire." Back on the Swiftclaw, panic bubbled. "Again," Kalis shouted. "Full power this time. Hit them hard." The weapons officer fired. A bigger bolt, white-hot, screamed toward the Reckoning. It hit the same spot. Thud. Like a hammer on iron. No damage. Kalis felt sweat on his neck. Impossible. Velen plasma could melt starship hulls. What armor was this? "Scan their shields," he yelled. "They must have shields." The sensor officer shook his head. "No shields, Commander. Nothing. Just metal." Kalis's blood ran cold. No shields. How could that be? Then the comms crackled again. Ji-hoon's voice colder now. "You fired first. You are in human space. Last warning. Leave, or be destroyed." Kalis roared into the mic. "Destroyed? By you? You are nothing. You are—" He never finished. The Reckoning moved. Not slowly. Not with glowing engines. It just wasn't there. 1 second it floated near Asteroid 7. The next second it was gone. Not cloaked, not hidden. Just vanished. Kalis's jaw dropped. "Where?" Dong-hyun's voice was tight on the Reckoning. "They don't understand speed, Captain. They think space travel is slow, graceful." Ji-hoon nodded. "They forgot us. They forgot what humans are." On the Swiftclaw, chaos. "Rear sensors!" the officer screamed. "It's behind us!" Kalis spun. On the screen, the reckoning hung right over the Swift Claw's tail, so close they could see the dents in its black hull. The red fist symbol stared at them like an angry eye. How? Kaliss gasped. No ship moves that fast, not without tearing space. Ji-hoon's voice cut through the comms, calm as ice. Human ships don't tear space. We own it. Kaliss felt real fear now, cold and sharp. He grabbed the mic. Wait, we surrender. We didn't know. Ji-hoon interrupted. Simple words, heavy words. You called us extinct. You called us animals. A pause, then, you will learn why we left. Kaliss saw movement on the reckoning. Small hatches opened along its side. Not for drones, not for beams. For guns. Big, thick barrels, like the legs of giants. Brace for impact, Kaliss bellowed. Too late. The reckoning fired. Not energy, not fire. Solid metal, hypervelocity slugs. Dense, heavy, moving faster than thought. They ripped through the vacuum. The first slug hit the Swift Claw's engine. No explosion, just a crunch, like stepping on a tin can. The engine shattered. Blue fire burst out, then died in the cold. The second slug tore through the weapons bay. Silent destruction, metal twisted, plasma tanks ruptured. But no boom, just the slow leak of fuel into space. Kaliss was thrown from his chair. He hit the floor hard. Alarms screamed, red lights flashed. Smoke filled the air, smelling of burnt plastic. Damage report, he choked. Engines gone. Weapons gone. Shields failing, the officer yelled. Hull breach on deck 3. Kaliss crawled back to his chair. His hands shook. On the screen, the reckoning hung motionless, waiting. 3 other black ships appeared beside it. Silent, ugly, strong. Kaliss looked at the red fist on their sides. He finally understood. This was no myth. This was real, and they were not animals. They were hunters. He grabbed the mic, his voice broken. This is Commander Kaliss of the Swift Claw. We surrender. Repeat, we surrender. Do not fire. Silence. Then Ji-hoon's voice, softer now, almost sad. Surrender is not enough. You forgot us. Now you remember. The comms went dead. Kaliss stared at the black ships. They didn't move closer. They didn't fire again. They just watched, like wolves watching a wounded deer. In the cold dark, the Swift Claw floated, broken. The red fist on the human ships seemed to glow brighter. Kaliss whispered the words he never thought he'd say. Help us, please. But no help came. Only the silent, waiting ships, and the terrible truth. The humans were back, and they were not happy. Commander Kaliss's voice shook as he yelled into the comm. All ships! Attack! Attack now! His heart pounded like a drum in his chest. Sweat ran down his thick gray neck. The Swift Claw was broken, but the other Veln ships were still strong. 5 more warships floated near the asteroids. Big ships, fast ships, ships with bright blue engines and sharp weapons. On the bridge, alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. Smoke filled the air, smelling like burnt wires. Kaliss pointed a clawed finger at the screen. Fire everything, plasma bolts, missiles, kill those black ships. The Veln fleet obeyed. Blue fire filled space. Bolts of hot plasma shot from every Veln gun. Missiles hissed like angry snakes. They flew toward the human ships, the Reckoning and its 3 dark friends. The human ships did not move. They just sat there, like rocks in a river. The plasma bolts hit first. Boom! 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 Bright blue explosions lit the dark. Metal should have melted. Shields should have flared. But the black ships didn't care. The bolts hit their thick, ugly hulls and just bounced off like rain on stone. No fire, no holes, nothing. Missiles struck next. Kaboom! Big explosions. Orange fire bloomed in space, but the fire died fast in the cold. When it cleared, the human ships were still there, still whole, still silent. The red fists on their sides looked angrier now. Kaliss stared. His mouth hung open. Impossible, he whispered. No ship can take that. On the Reckoning, Captain Ji-hoon watched the attacks on his screen. His face stayed calm. His hands rested on his chair. Hull integrity? He asked. Sang-woo, the damage control officer, checked his board. No damage, Captain. Armor held strong. Just some scratches. Ji-hoon nodded. Good. Near him, Tae-sik stood at the weapons console. He was a big man with short black hair and sharp eyes. He grinned like a wolf. They're wasting bullets, Captain. Ji-hoon looked at the screen. The Veln ships were closing in, firing wildly. They thought they had won. They thought the humans were trapped. Tae-sik, Ji-hoon said. Show them what we brought. Tae-sik's grin grew wider. With pleasure. He pressed a big red button. On the reckoning, heavy hatches slid open along the ship's belly. Not for fancy lasers, and not for silent drones, for big, thick metal tubes, railguns, old-fashioned, brutal weapons. Tae-sik's fingers flew over his controls. He didn't aim at one ship. He aimed at the whole Veln fleet. Firing solution locked, he said. Say hello to Earth's anger. He pulled a lever. Thoom! The reckoning shuddered. Not from damage, from power. 3 heavy metal slugs, each as long as a truck, shot from the railguns. They moved so fast they blurred. Faster than Veln eyes could see. Faster than Veln ships could dodge. The first slug hit the Veln flagship Star Hunter. It punched clean through the front shield, which flared uselessly, ripped through the bridge, and blew out the back. The Star Hunter split in two like a rotten fruit. Fire gushed out, then froze in space. The second slug hit the Sky Ripper. It tore through the engine room, with the weapons bay and the crew quarters all in one line. The ship crumpled like paper. Lights died. Silence. The third slug missed its target but hit 2 smaller Veln ships instead. It went through the first ship like butter, then through the second. 2 ships became 4 pieces of floating junk. Silence. The remaining Veln ships stopped firing. They just floated, shocked, scared. Kaliss saw it all on his screen. His blood turned to ice. No, he breathed. No, no, no. On the reckoning, Tae-sik laughed, a loud, happy sound. See that, Captain? 3 ships, 1 shot. We didn't even try. He wiped his eyes. They expected gods with shiny toys. We brought tanks. Ji-hoon stood up. His voice was cold steel. They called us extinct. They called us animals. Now they see the truth. He pointed at the screen. Finish them. The other human ships moved. The Vengeance and the Fist and the Wrath, all black, all ugly, spun toward the surviving Veln ships. They didn't circle. They didn't hide. They charged straight through the Veln formation like bulls in a field. Plasma bolts hit them. Missiles exploded on their hulls. But the human ships just kept coming. Their armor was thick, meters of layered steel and ceramic, built for war, not for looks. One Veln ship tried to run. It turned its engines toward the asteroids. The Vengeance matched its speed instantly. It pulled up beside the fleeing ship. Hatches opened. Railguns aimed. Thoom! Thoom! 2 slugs. 1 through the engine. 1 through the bridge. The Veln ship died like a light switched off. Another Veln ship fired a torpedo. A big, slow bomb meant to cripple. It headed straight for the reckoning side. Tae-sik saw it coming. Incoming torpedo! Ji-hoon didn't flinch. Let it hit! Clang! The torpedo slammed into the reckoning's hull. It stuck there, beeping loudly. Sang-woo frowned. It's stuck? Not exploding? Tae-sik laughed again. Our hull's too thick. It can't punch through. He pointed. Look. The torpedo's beeping slowed, then stopped. It just hung there, useless like a bug on a wall. The reckoning kept flying. The torpedo fell off and floated away, harmless. Kaliss watched his fleet die, one by one. His friends, his allies, all gone in minutes. Only his broken Swift Claw and 1 other ship, the Deep Shadow, were left. He grabbed the comm. His voice broke. Humans, stop! We surrender! We beg you! Ji-hoon's voice came back. Calm, final, no surrender. No prisoners. Kaliss felt tears on his cheeks. Why? Because you called us ghosts, Ji-hoon said. Because you called us dead. You erased our history. You stole our home. You made us into a story to scare children. He paused. Kaliss heard the anger in that pause. You called us animals. Now you see what animals do when cornered. The deep shadow tried to run. It fired its engines hard, heading for the asteroid belt. The Wrath moved, fast, silent. It pulled up beside the deep shadow. Railguns aimed. Thoom! One slug. Through the engine room. The deep shadow spun out of control, dead in space. Now only Caliss remained. The 4 human ships surrounded the Swift Claw. They floated close. So close, Caliss could see the dents and scratches on their black hulls. The red fists stared at him like angry eyes. He fell to his knees on the bridge. His crew huddled together, crying. The air stank of fear. Please, Caliss whispered into the comm. Mercy. Silence. Then Ji-hoon's voice, softer now, almost sad. Mercy is for those who remember. You forgot us. You called us nothing. A pause. You will learn why we left. The human ships moved apart, just enough. Caliss saw the railguns on the Reckoning swing toward him, not to kill, to warn. Go, Ji-hoon said. Run! Tell your people what you saw. Caliss didn't wait. He screamed at his crew. Full power! Get us out of here! Now! The Swift Claw's broken engines coughed. They sputtered blue fire. Slowly, painfully, the ship turned. It fled toward the stars, leaving the battlefield behind. As it moved away, Caliss looked back. The human ships didn't follow. They just floated over the dead Veln ships, like vultures over a corpse. Horno, then the Reckoning's comm crackled one last time. Ji-hoon's voice, cold and clear. This is Captain Ji-hoon of the UNS Reckoning. Message to the Veln Collective. You thought humans were legends. You thought we were dead. You were wrong. We are here, and we remember everything. The comm went silent. Caliss slumped in his chair. He was alive, but he felt dead inside. He looked at the screen. The human ships were already turning, heading deeper into space, toward Veln space, toward the homeworlds. He grabbed the main comm. His voice was raw, full of terror. This is Commander Caliss. Send help. Send all ships. The humans are real. They are not myths. They are not dead. He choked on the words. They are angry. He paused, tears streaming down his face. And they hate us. He sent the message to every Veln ship, every station, every planet. And then he sat back. He watched the stars. The red fists on the human ships glowed in the dark. Caliss knew one thing for sure. This was not the end. This was just the beginning. The humans were coming, and they would not stop. The message hit the Veln homeworld like a hammer. Commander Caliss's voice, raw and shaking, echoed in every building, every ship, every home. The humans are real. They are not myths. They are not dead. They are angry. Panic exploded. On the green hills of Veln Prime, people dropped their tools. In busy markets, shoppers froze. Children stopped playing. The sky above the capital city filled with flashing lights as emergency ships screamed toward the assembly hall. Sirens wailed without stop. Red lights pulsed on every street corner. Fear hung thick in the air, like smoke after a fire. Inside the assembly hall, a chaos ruled. 12 species pushed and shouted. Ambassador Vraktor, the scaly green leader, slammed his fists on the table. Silence! Silence! His voice was sharp, but his hands shook. His black eyes darted to the main screen. It showed Caliss's broken ship limping home, followed by a single chilling image, the red fist symbol on a human battleship. Impossible! Vraktor hissed. Humans are dust! Ghosts! This is a trick! A furry Tharn delegate pointed a trembling claw at the screen. Caliss saw them. 5 ships gone. Just gone! His voice cracked. They're weapons. No energy beams. Just metal. Heavy metal. It tore through our shields like paper. A jellyfish-like being pulsed red with fear. What do they want? Why attack? Vraktor tried to stand tall. They want treasure. Old relics. We will pay them. Give them junk. I make them leave. A young Veln history worker named Su Min stepped forward. She was small, with soft purple skin and calm eyes. She held a data pad tightly. Ambassador, she said gently, they do not want treasure. Vraktor glared. Who are you to speak, archivist? Before she could answer, the main doors burst open. Jia walked in. She didn't wear her gray archivist suit anymore. She wore simple human clothes, dark pants and a plain shirt. Her purple disguise was gone. Her real skin was pale. Her dark hair was cut short. Her eyes, brown and steady, looked at each alien in the room. Gasps filled the hall. Whispers rose like wind. Who is she? How did she get in? Vraktar stood up slowly. His tail twitched. You are the archivist. The quiet one. His voice was low, dangerous. And what is this? Gia walked to the center of the room. She didn't look scared. She looked tired, sad. She held up her data pad. It glowed with old star charts and broken images. I am Gia, she said, her voice clear in the quiet room. I am human. Silence. Heavy silence. Then Vraktar laughed, a harsh, grating sound. Human? You are a Veln. A trick. Guards. No trick, Gia said. She pressed a button on her pad. The main screen changed. It showed a blue-green planet floating in space. Oceans, green land, white clouds. Earth, Gia said. The aliens stared. Some crossed their arms. Some shook their heads. Fake, someone shouted. Old picture, Gia pressed again. The screen showed war. Big explosions on red soil. Cities burning. Strange ships firing lasers. This is Mars, Gia said. Her voice got harder. 10,000 years ago. Your ancestors, the Qatari hegemony, came here. They wanted our resources. They didn't ask. They just took. She showed another image. A city on Mars, shattered. People running, screaming. They glassed it, Gia said. Burned the surface. Killed millions. Just for minerals. Vraktar's face turned dark green. Lies! The Qatari were explorers. Peaceful. Gia didn't blink. Peaceful? Then why did they attack Earth next? The screen changed again. Earth, but not the blue-green world. A broken world. Black skies, poisoned seas, cracked land. Your ancestors came for Earth, Gia said. Her voice shook now with anger. We fought back. Humans were not united then. We fought each other with sticks and fire, like you said. But when the Qatari came, we stopped fighting each other. We fought together. She showed images of human ships, old, weak ships, firing at huge Qatari warships. Some blew up, some won. We won the war, Gia said, but Earth was broken. Our air hurt to breathe. Our water killed us. Our children got sick. We had no choice. The screen showed a fleet of human ships leaving Earth. Not fast, not shiny, just strong, slow ships. We left, Gia said, not to hide, to heal. We used ships that flew so fast, time moved slower for us. While we traveled, centuries passed outside. We fixed our world. We learned. We waited. She turned to face Vraktar. You called us extinct. You called us animals. But you erased us. After the war, your ancestors made up stories. Humans destroyed themselves. They were primitive brutes. Why? Because you felt guilty. Because you stole our home. Because you didn't want to remember what you did. Vraktar's voice was a whisper. No. The records, they said humans vanished. Gia stepped closer. Her eyes burned. We didn't vanish. You made us vanish. You turned us into a ghost story, a lesson to forget. Don't be like the humans, you told your children, or you'll end up like them. But humans weren't the lesson. She pointed at Vraktar, at all the aliens. You were the lesson. The room felt hot, sweaty. A Tharn delegate spoke, his voice small. Why come back now? Gia's face softened, just for a second. We watched, from far away. We saw the Veln collective rise. We saw you take planets, crush small species, lie, steal, just like the Qatari. She looked at Vraktar. You called us legends. You called us dead. But legends don't stay dead when the truth is buried. She pressed her pad again. The screen showed Kalissa's battle, the human ships, the Red Fists. Captain Ji-hoon didn't attack Theta Outpost for revenge, Gia said. He attacked because you were there, on our space, our old borders. You erased us, but you never left our land. Vraktar sank into his chair. His scales looked dull. You, you are not animals. Gia shook her head. No, we were never animals. We were forgiving. We left so you could learn, so you could be better. But you didn't learn. You became the Qatari. She walked to the main table. She placed her datapad down. It showed Earth now. Green, clean, alive, full of people. This is Earth today, Gia said. We healed it. We healed ourselves. We waited 10,000 years to see if you would change. She looked at each alien, one by one. You didn't. The room was silent. No whispers, no shuffling feet, only the soft hum of the lights. Vraktar's voice was broken. What do you want? Gia didn't smile, didn't frown. You asked why humans are back. It's simple. She tapped the screen showing the human fleet. 50 black ships now, moving toward Veln space. You called us myths. You called us dead. She met Vraktar's eyes. Now you remember us. She turned to leave. At the door, she stopped. Tell your people the truth. Tell them humans were not the mistake. You were the lesson you chose to forget. She walked out. The alien stood frozen. The screen still showed Earth, blue, green, and very much alive. Vraktar looked at his hands. They were shaking. For the first time, he felt small, weak, like a child caught lying. A young delegate whispered, They weren't primitive. No, Vraktar said, his voice hollow. Swarana, they were patient. He remembered his own words from the first meeting. They were animals, long dead, good riddance. Now he understood. Humans weren't the ghosts, they were. Ghosts of the Qatari, ghosts of their own lies. Outside, sirens still wailed, the red lights still pulsed. But inside the hall, something worse settled in. Not fear of attack, fear of truth. The humans weren't back for treasure. They were back to remind the galaxy who it forgot, and they wouldn't stop until everyone remembered. Vraktar closed his eyes. He saw Earth as it was now, full of people with names like Jia and Jihun, people who waited, people who healed, people who never forgot. He opened his eyes. The screen still showed Earth. It looked so small, so fragile. But he knew now. Fragile things can break hard things. And the human fleet hung over Veln Prime like a dark cloud. 50 black ships. No lights, no sound. Just silent, jagged shapes against the blue-green planet below. Cities glittered like tiny stars. Rivers snaked through green lands. It looked peaceful, safe. Inside the reckoning, Captain Ji-hoon stood at the main window. His hands were clenched. His face was hard. He watched the planet spin slowly. He remembered Earth long ago. Black skies, poisoned seas, the smell of burning cities. The Qatari had done that. The Veln's ancestors. Now the Veln had become them. Targets locked, Ty-6 said from weapons. His grin was gone. His voice was quiet. All military bases, all warship yards, all weapon towers. One shot. We wiped them clean. Ji-hoon didn't answer. He saw the faces of his crew. Sang-woo at damage control, Hae-won at comms, and Dong-hyun near the door ready to leave. They all waited. They all wanted revenge. Dong-hyun stepped forward. He was young with sharp eyes and steady hands. Captain, he said softly, I'm going down. The truth devices are ready. Ji-hoon turned. You know the risk. If they catch you, they won't, Dong-hyun said. They're too scared to look up. He held up a small black box. This isn't a bomb. It's a truth teller. When it hits the ground, every screen on Veln Prime will show what really happened. The Qatari burning Mars. Humans fleeing Earth. The lies the Veln told for 10,000 years. He met Ji-hoon's eyes. They need to see it, not just hear it. Ji-hoon nodded. Go. Be fast. Dong-hyun slipped out. The door closed behind him. On the bridge, silence returned. The planet turned below. Ji-hoon walked to his chair. He sat down. His fingers traced a scar on the armrest, a dent from an old battle. He closed his eyes. Earth. He saw it in his mind. Not the green world it was now, the broken world. His grandmother's stories. The air burned our lungs. The water killed our babies. We had to leave or die. Humans had fled in slow, heavy ships. They'd traveled fast, So fast time slowed for them. While they slept, centuries passed outside. When they woke, Earth was healed. Green again. Strong again. But the galaxy had forgotten them. Erased them. Ji-hoon opened his eyes. He looked at the screen. Veln Prime looked so soft. So fragile. Like Earth once did. "Captain," Sang-woo said gently, "we can end this now. Burn their cities. Make them pay for Mars. For Earth." Ji-hoon stood up. He walked to the window again. "We are not them," he said, his voice low. "The Qatari burned planets. They killed for minerals. They lied." He turned to face his crew. "If we burn Veln Prime, we become the Qatari. We become the monsters in their stories." Tae-sik frowned. "But they deserve it. They called us dead. They stole our home." "They forgot," Ji-hoon said. "Forgetting is not the same as evil. We left. We healed. Now we're back. Not for revenge. For truth." He pointed at the planet. "Look at them. They're scared. They're sorry. They finally remember." He walked to the comm. His hand hovered over the button. "Hey, Wan, send the order." Hai Wan's fingers flew. "All ships, stand by." Ji-hoon took a deep breath. "Target only military sites. No cities, no homes, only weapons, only war." Tae-sik's eyes widened. "You're showing mercy?" "Not mercy," Ji-hoon said. "A choice. They can keep lying. On or they can change." Down on Veln Prime, Dong-hyun moved like a shadow. He landed near the capital city. The streets were empty. People hid in their homes. Sirens wailed in the distance. He placed the black box on a street corner, pressed a button, ran, click. Every screen in the city lit up. Not with ads, not with news, with truth. Hollow images filled the air. Qatari ships firing on Mars, red soil melting, humans running from burning cities on Earth, Veln leaders laughing, burning old human records. The words, "You called us extinct. We were waiting." People stepped outside. They stared at the images. Tears ran down faces. A young Veln child pointed at a hollow of a human child running from fire. "Mama," she whispered, "we did that." Back in orbit, Ji-hoon gave the order. "Fire." The human fleet moved, not to destroy, to remind. Erutum. Railgun slugs shot down, not at cities but at military bases. One slug hit a warship yard. Metal crumpled like paper. Another hit a weapon tower. It collapsed silently. A third hit a command center. No fire, no screams, just the cold crunch of war machines dying. On the reckoning screen, Veln warships exploded. Not the whole fleet, just the fighters and bombers. Peaceful cargo ships floated untouched. Vraktar watched from the assembly hall. His green skin looked pale. His black eyes were wet. He saw the hollow images outside. He saw the human weapons hitting only military sites. He fell to his knees. "They could burn us all," he whispered, "but they don't." In the streets, Veln people gathered. They looked up at the black ships, not with hate, with shame, with hope. Ji-hoon grabbed the comm. His voice was calm, strong. "This is Captain Ji-hoon of the UNS Reckoning. This is not vengeance. This is reminder." He paused. Let the words sink in. "You called humans legends. You called us dead. You erased our pain. You stole our home. Now you see the truth." He looked at the planet below. "We are not here to rule you, not to hurt you. We are here to say, remember us. Remember what you did. Remember what you became." His voice got harder. "Fix your world. Help the small species you crushed. Tell the truth to your children. Or next time." He let the silence hang. Heavy. Final. "Next time, we won't stop." The comm went quiet. The human fleet powered down weapons. The black ships turned slowly. One by one, they fired their engines. Deep, quiet rumbles in the void. They moved away from Veln Prime, toward the stars, toward home. On the bridge, Tae-sik sighed. "Sordo, do you think they'll change, Captain?" Ji-hoon watched the planet shrink on the screen. "I don't know," he said. "But now they have a choice. We didn't." Dong-hyun returned, his face smudged with dirt. "The truth is out there, Captain. They can't unsee it." Ji-hoon nodded. He walked back to the window. Earth was far away, but it was waiting. Green, alive, full of people with names like Jia and Haiwan and Hyunwoo, people who remembered, people who healed. He touched the scar on his chair again. Not a scar from battle, from building, from fixing broken things. Set course for home, he said. The reckoning moved into the dark. The other ships followed. Behind them, Veln Prime glowed softly. Broken warships floated in orbit. Cities stood intact. People walked the streets looking up, talking, crying. Vraktar stood on his balcony. When he watched the human ships disappear into the stars, he thought of Jia's words. You were the lesson you chose to forget. He turned to his people. His voice was raw but clear. We remember now. Above, the stars were cold and quiet, but somewhere in the dark, human ships sailed.